Чайковский летаючи, мов за дітьми плаче, сонце гріє.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream and the 1021st day of the full-scale invasion of Russia. Told you I'd find the music from that one video yesterday, and here we go. And I'll put the link in chat for it, you guys.
Човен, мій маленький човен, хвилями гойдає пам'ять день і ніч. Човен спогадами повен, з нього добре видно землю на всю біч.
Links in chat if you want to hear the whole song. That is the link to the band's YouTube channel, so if you want to hear more of their music, you can. I'll leave it at that. Hopping into, well, first, no air alerts in Ukraine at the moment. Always a good sign. And let's hop into operational information as of 8 p.m. December 10th regarding the Russian invasion. As always, they start the report with Glory to Ukraine. The 1021st day of the large-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine has begun. Over the past day, 175 combat clashes took place. According to updated information, the enemy carried out 37 airstrikes on the positions of Ukrainian units and settlements, dropping 57 guided bombs. In addition, it carried out more than 4,000 attacks using artillery systems. 115 were from multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS. They also used 1,617 kamikaze drones to carry out strikes. The airstrikes that Russia carried out were in the areas of the settlements of Krugulivka, Lozova, Bilohorivka, up by Kupiansk and Liman. Nove, I'm guessing they missed part of the name because that just says new. Servisk, Fedorivka, I don't know where that's at, Kruzminivka, Druzhivka, and Constantinople. Over the past day, missile troops of the defense forces struck the command post of Russian invaders. And we get into Kharkiv direction. The enemy carried out offensive action 6 times in the areas of Gliboki and Voschansk. This is a new town. Oh, no, it's not. That's just mistranslated. Let me show you. Hubloki is this settlement here. Of course, Voschansk is the major area of actions by Russians. Covering one thing that has been corrected, I think, by now. Nope, it has not. Is you see this red area up by the invasion into Kursk from Ukrainian forces? That doesn't actually exist. it was an overreaction by Russian propaganda. A lot of people fell for it, including Deep State. That actually does not exist. They have not crossed that area. What do you mean by how, Ronnie? I need a little more context. So, there were no attacks yesterday in Kozachi Lopan, but troops are still building up in this area. Of course, howdy Blue, Ronnie, Vatkin, good to see you. KKGG, good to see you as well. Aussie T, Aussie. Always good to have you folks in chat. Makes me a little less self-conscious talking to myself, so or little. I'm not as self-conscious when I'm talking to you folks instead of just myself, is what I meant to say. But hey, Len S., good to see you too. Moving on to Kupiansk direction. Let me get it down and do Kupiansk and Liman direction. The number of combat clashes yesterday in the Kupiansk direction reached 7 attacks. The defense forces repelled the attacks of the invaders in the areas of Lazova and Zagrizova. In the Liman direction, our troops stopped 14 enemy assaults. The invaders concentrated their main efforts in the areas of Hevrivka, Zelenigay, Nadia, Makivka, Torske, and Yampolivka. Starting in Kupiansk, Lozova and Zagrozova. So these were the areas of attacks in Kupiansk. And coming down, Harivka, Makivka, Torsk, and coming further down the line, Hirohorivka is here. Yeah, it's very spread out, the attacks. You can see by Deep State's map showing that they're bringing in more units, and I believe we're going to see increased action in this area in the coming future. Seversk was hit by a bomb, one of the aircraft bombs today. Moving on to Kramatorsk and Torets direction. Okay, let me try that again. 2 attempts by the invaders to advance near Chasiv Yar and Orkovo Vasilivka were stopped by Ukrainian soldiers in the Kramatorsk direction. In Toretsk, the enemy tried to advance 8 times in the areas of Torets, Sierbianka, and Nipolivka. Of course, Chasiv Yar, Stupochny, here we go. Orakovo Vasilivka is here, and of course, Chasiv Yar has been their main focus. Heading south to Toretsk, Nepolivka, Sierbianka, and Toretsk are still pushing. We covered yesterday how the fighting is going, and it's hard to keep track. I have video of some fighting in Toretsk today. Let me open this up. Well, let me first start with this here. This is what's left of Ukrainian cities when the Russian Mir comes. You know, the Russian world, whatever you want to call it. You know, it translates to Russian world or Russian peace. And yeah, this is the Russian world where every building is damaged, and basically turning cities unlivable. This is the northern part of Toretsk. Let me get back up to the video from 3rd Assault Brigade. Yeah, that pretty much explains everything right there in that pause, but I'll play the whole video anyways. And of course, from Azov. Sorry, let me slow that back down, but find, eliminate, and clear. Going through and clearing house to house.
Возле них. С той стороны. Что надо говорить? Смотри, они в доме напротив, которые меня.
Just in the opposite house from him.
В доме напротив.
Хорошо, принял, плюс.
Next building, in the next building. 1 minus. We already took out one.
На, петух! Рішот. Щоб його нас не скинув. Кидає!
Аккуратно!
Well, I believe it's this house that they're in. I'm not sure. Yeah, I believe it's that house.
Я попробую, понял, зайти. Сейчас с вами.
You know, they have a good music selection. It's kind of building the intensity of it a bit.
Сюда.
Наши с другой стороны. Наши с другой стороны уже.
Have the building surrounded.
Сопки. Уже надо.
Контроль, контроль.
Давай, давай. Давай.
See the smoke starting to come out the back of the house?
Себя взорвал чужим.
А?
Подорвался? Это внутри дома было.
Давай тебе прийдемо під дерево. Що там?
Прокидуть гранату.
Прокидують гранати.
I see LJ sneaking in.
Давай, у нас в хаті 2200, 2200.
Вот, да.
Oh,
Сейчас
Три там на входе еще один.
200 поправочка. Да, пацаны, нет пацанов.
по возможности достань рабочий телефон, фотка и, блядь,
so they're going through trying to get intel off of the Russian soldiers.
Ничего не вижу в карманах.
в доме плюс телефон.
And they got a phone and a radio.
Так, калахи, документов.
No documents, no backpacks, just some AKs. And yeah, they pre-blurred out the stuff that's not acceptable, so I'm happy. That's why I'm showing this video. But just all the junk and stuff that flew everywhere when the grenades went in.
Тут БФ лежит. Ай, ствол горячий. Стрелял, потом.
And talking about the barrel on the AKs of the Russian soldiers. Barrels being hot, so they were definitely firing back at them.
Да не, разобрать надо.
So rather than taking the rifles with him, he sits there and disassembles the AK, just throws the parts around, just spreads the parts around so they're not usable to anybody else. They have to stay light and mobile. They can't be carrying all the captured weapons with them, so they disassemble them and toss the parts around so it's harder to reassemble. But you kind of forget that this was somebody's home. You know, it didn't always look like that, but that was somebody's home. And heading back out after the mission of clearing the area. That is Toretsk. Let me get back up to, and I have one more video from Toretsk for you today. It's kind of an aerial tour of Toretsk. And there's not a single building in this town that's not been basically hit. The old church. Yeah, it's hard to tell that that's a church, huh? I believe this was a school. Yeah, sadly, it's not just Bakhmut or Toretsk or Chasiv Yar. It's every town on the front line ends up looking like this. This is Russian Mir. This is the world Russia wants for Ukraine. This is why Ukrainians are fighting so hard to defend their land. They don't want their cities to look like that. You know, Ukrainians didn't go into Russia at first. It was Russia that came to Ukraine back in 2014. You know, this purple area was occupied in 2014. It's just the red areas that have been the last 3 years. You know, all of Crimea. Ukraine didn't ask to be invaded. Just saying, it's, but that is the threats direction from today. Moving on to the hot point of the war. Well, at the moment, 51 attacks were repelled by our defenders in the Pokrovsk direction over the past day. The enemy troops are most active near Mirolubivka, Lysivka, Promin, Dasheny, Chimtatsky, and Shevchenko. Pretty much the same towns we hear about over and over and over every day. Of course, Mirolubivka, Promin, Lysivka, Dasheny, Shevchenko. And Russia's gaining a little bit of ground every day. You know, there's about 150,000 troops between Pokrovsk, Kharkiv, and Vyshivka. So, let's do a measuring tape here. From there to there, basically an 80 kilometer front. You know, probably more with the, you know, dips and hills. But an 80 kilometer front in Russia has 150,000 soldiers in this area. That number is dwindling every day, but unfortunately that comes with Ukrainian having to give up ground to keep their people from losing their lives needlessly. But yeah, that's Pokrovsk. 51 attacks in one day in Pokrovsk. The defense forces continue to restrain the enemy in Kharkiv directions, in the areas of Sonsivka, Staraturny, Zori, Doleny, Dacheny, Kharkova. The invaders tried to break through the Ukrainian defense lines 40 times. 40 times in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 towns. 40 attacks on 6 towns in one day. Zora, Sansivka, Stariterny, Dasheni, Delaney, Kurakova. Of course, Elizavetivka, Romanivka, Hanivka down here. We're not hearing much today about those cities. I have a feeling Ukrainians are pulling out of these cities just because they don't want to face encirclement. Again, nothing's verified at this moment. You know, like just my feeling. Yeah, but it is a dangerous area for them to be in right now. That might be the reasons why we haven't heard about those towns today. But yeah, that's the sad situation and the realities of war. Moving on to Verminsk direction. Sorry, I have my brain fart for today, I think. Verminsk direction, 27 enemy attacks were stopped by our defenders in the directions of Constantinople, Novosibka, Sukovyali, Storozhevno, Neskucheny, and Blahodatny in the Verminsk direction. Again, they didn't talk about this area, but they talked about Constantinople, Sukovyali, Blahodatny, sadly, I think this area of the map is going to change soon. I hate seeing Ukraine losing ground, but it's just the facts of war, unfortunately, at this time. In the Dnipro direction, several fruitless attempts to seize positions of our defenders over the last day were made by the enemy. So, of course, that means Huliopol and Orahiv did not have any actions during the last day. The Dnipro direction is this entire general area. But for the most part, we have to assume, because they don't give us town names that the attacks were near, that it was along the flats in the river between south of Kherson. I know I do have a video for you about this, if I could find it really quick. Here we go. No audio, but these are the boats Russia's using to cross the Dnipro. Play that again just so. So those were the boats Russia's were using trying to try and cross the Dnipro. There's not a whole lot of information out there about these assaults. It's just not publicized. Mertzi, good to see you. Blonde Bombsheller, good to see you in chat. No cooties allowed, okay. We went back to junior high somewhere. Now, Hoof-Hearted isn't in here yet. I'd like to see him in here. Oh, you guys crack me up some days. The operational situation in Volyn and Policia directions has not changed significantly. No signs of formations of enemy offensive groups have been detected. On the border of Trinity region, the enemy maintains its military presence and conducts reconnaissance activities and artillery shelling. Ukrainian defense forces continue to conduct operations in Kerch, where the enemy has conducted 11 assaults on positions of Ukrainian units over the last day. And it goes into the losses for the day, but we'll cover that with the graphic. Join the defense forces. Together we will win. In Ukrainian, Razom do Peremojemo. Razom do Peremojemo. Together we will win. That's how we have to stay together. Russia's trying to divide us with the information warfare, sending false reports, stuff like that, just to try and make us fight amongst ourselves. Don't let them get away with it. Moving on to the loss reports for today. Total combat losses of the enemy as of December 10th, the 1021st day. Russia lost 1,350 personnel, 5 tanks, 7 APVs, armored personnel vehicles, 3 artillery systems, 14 UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicle drones, 48 vehicles, and 1 special equipment. So the numbers are starting to drop for Russia. I'm hoping that means that there's not as many meat assaults going on. But as we all know, there still is 175 combat clashes going on each and every day. Well, not each and every, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes over 200, but yesterday was 175. So still, really high numbers for like the average throughout the war. But over the last 2 or 3 months, that is dropping from like the 1,600 marks. Snow is too real. I had some of it this morning, but it went away. Moving on to Zelensky's speech. Let me get that opened up.
Дорогі українці, українки, зараз в Запоріжжі триває рятувальна операція після російського ракетного удару, балістика. По міській забудові 18 людей поранені, всім надається допомога, але, на жаль, є загиблі. Мої співчуття рідним. Вже переговорив з головкомом про те, що потрібно, щоб дати більше безпеки нашим містам. І говоримо з усіма партнерами про додаткові системи ППО. Ми зараз маємо недостатньо систем, щоб захистити нашу країну від російських ракет. Але партнери мають ці системи. Знову і знову повторюємо, що ППО повинна рятувати життя, а не припадати пилом на базах зберігання. Готуємо зараз графік зустрічей та перемовин на цей місяць, щоб зробити якнайбільше. Говорив сьогодні з прем'єр-міністром Польщі Дональдом Туском. Хороша розмова. Україна вдячна Польщі за всю надану підтримку. І це вагома підтримка. Ми маємо так і надалі працювати. Саме разом, щоб обидві наші держави ставали сильніше. Спланували під час розмови нашу спільну роботу цими тижнями і також в наступному році, коли почнеться головування Польщі в Європейському Союзі. Сьогодні ж говорили з генсеком НАТО Рютте. Зокрема, про комунікацію з усіма нашими партнерами, про те, як швидше вирішувати питання, які стосуються спільної безпеки усіх нас в Європі. Потрібні сильні гарантії і дієва взаємодія. Сьогодні ж зустрівся з делегацією Європарламенту. Я вдячний усім за підтримку. І ще одне. Відзначив сьогодні наших вчених, 91 вченого, премією Патона. Це щорічна премія. І багато в чому наші люди зараз мають успіхи. Кожне прізвище сьогодні говорить про результати для України. І в обороні, по дронах, ракетах, по нашому виробництву. І в медицині, в сучасних технологіях, які допомагають рятувати життя. І в таких речах, як розмінування, аграрне виробництво і, звичайно, енергетика. Я дякую всім, хто працює для того, щоб Україна вистояла і досягла необхідного. Слава Україні!
Героям слава. Covered a lot there. The rescue operation in Zaporizhia, we'll cover that shortly. Technological advances in Ukraine, from drones to military craft, some of which I showed you guys yesterday. I have some more of that today with the videos from Telegram. Of course, he sat there and thanks everybody that helps Ukraine. He does that every speech. And he's talking about you guys. You know, from the $5 donations to help raise a drone, to people who send trucks. The Snatch armored ambulances that Greg Terry sent. Doesn't matter how big, how little, if you help Ukraine, this man, every time he does a speech, thanks you. And you know, I made my own Telegram channel just to get information so it's easier to access for the stream. So let's hop into some of these videos. Ukrainian tank operating near Kharkiv. So that was one of the Ukrainian tanks from 214th operating in Kharkiv. This is what's left of after one of the Russian assaults in Kursk. Let me back this up and turn the volume.
Горят, сука. Пидор, тигры.
Эхо будет подлетать, маякуйте, я вас поднаведу, где
Не
именно.
доехал.
Прочекини еще все вокруг, прочекини еще все
Не
вокруг.
доехал.
Потом на пидора вернемся, если что. Шел живых? Да, двоечку. Сейчас будет. Я уже...
That is 3 Russian vehicles that won't be used again. Zelensky talked about the missile strike in Zaporizhia. So a short little video of the rescue operations going on there. A shopping center, advertisement for a barber. Yeah, this was a military complex, right? Sure. Just somebody's apartment building. And more people being taken from the wreckage. We'll come back to this. Story of a member of the 225th trapped for 6 days in Bradley. But it's a 10-minute long video, so we'll come back to that after we cover all this. And of course, Russians attacked an IAEA nuclear inspection vehicle on its way to Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. And see the fire still burning. But Russia said they'd let them in, let them do their inspections, but here it is, Russian drones attacking the nuclear power plant inspectors, to make sure nobody's going to get another Chernobyl, another 3 Mile Island, and they're shooting at them. And I don't like saying I told you so, but this is one of the instances where I really enjoy it. Mobilizing 18-year-olds is not a priority. We must not compensate for lack of weapons with the youth of our soldiers. The president emphasized focusing on providing brigades with equipment and training rather than drafting younger recruits. If you don't have the equipment to give the recruits weapons and you don't have the training, what's the point? This is why Ukraine is staying at the 25-year-old recruitment age. When that situation changes, when we actually start giving them the equipment they need to be able to effectively equip those troops, this might change, but not right now. Of course, the Toretsk video, and Russian ammo depot in occupied Donetsk caught fire today. It wasn't drones. It was somebody smoking, obviously. There are other angles of it, but like half the screen's blurred out. You can see the flashes of the ammo cooking off. The Dnipro direction. Oh, this one was funny. Russians deploy traffic lights to detect Ukrainian FPV drones. Green for all clear, yellow for they've been spotted, and of course red. Doesn't show it yet, but yeah, Russians are installing traffic lights along their supply lines to try and keep Ukrainians from blowing up their supplies. I hope they don't work for crap, just like anything else in Russia. However, Russia has also made a Transformer rover. You guys will like this. It's good for a laugh.
A UGV or unmanned ground vehicle that can turn into a UAV or unmanned aerial drone at the flick of a controller. This Russian video appears to be further proof that the war in Ukraine is continuing to see drones evolving in ways no one could have predicted before the conflict. And the ability to transform from rover to quadcopter makes it a piece of kit that's highly flexible and adaptable, a next level development with great potential for military missions. The strengths of such a multifunctional drone include the ability to overcome challenging terrain, flying over any obstacles while staying low and under cover.
You see how that dropped right there? This thing barely has the power to lift itself up, so it couldn't carry any payload, so the best this thing can do is maybe surveillance.
Advances too. This is the latest drone to come off the Ukrainian Sea drone production line, called the Magura 5, a one-way naval drone upgraded with all the lessons learned from previous variants. And then there's this, a Ukrainian Queen Hornet drone armed with a machine gun on its first ever combat deployment to clear enemy infantry. Stuart Rumble, BFBS Forces News. Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News...
I mean, that gives you some of the technological advancements that are happening. From the Sea Babies to the Hornet drone that actually has a machine gun to fire at troops. That's what Ukraine's coming up with, and Russia comes up with this thing that transforms that can barely lift itself off the ground. More military tech being developed in and by Ukraine.
Час випробування даного транспортного засобу виділялися такі ділянки маршрути, які є не підвласні звичайним транспортним засобам. А саме, це болотиста місцевість, піщані сипучі дороги, чагарники, вузькі лісові дороги, а також водойми річки і озера. Екіпаж сюди ходу може становити 6 чоловік, враховуючи водія. Це є виробництво України, оснащений 2,8-літровим дизельним двигуном з 6-ступінчатою коробкою передач.
So just some more of the tech that's being developed on the battlefield in Ukraine. And another oil refinery in Russia goes boom. Just a short little clip.
Нихуя себе! Ебать.
That is the oil refinery being hit again. Some good news today. U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury Department announces disbursement of $20 billion loan to benefit Ukraine to be repaid with the proceeds earned from immobilized Russian sovereign assets. In other words, the money will be paid by the Russians, not the U.S. taxpayer. Just to be clear for the normal mega types out there. Not your taxes, Russian money that's been seized and locked up. Today, the United States Department of Treasury is announcing the disbursement of $20 billion for the benefit of Ukraine as part of a $50 billion G7 Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Loans Initiative. So Ukraine's getting $50 billion in loans that are to be paid out of Russian assets. These funds will be paid for by the windfall proceeds earned from Russia's own immobilized assets. They'll provide Ukraine a critical infusion of support as it defends its country against an unprovoked war of aggression. The $50 billion collectively being provided by the G7 through this initiative will help ensure Ukraine has the resources it needs to sustain emergency services, hospitals, and other foundations of its brave resistance. So, not all doom and gloom, but some good news here and there. And more good news, Ukraine returned 5 children and 3 adults from occupied territories in Russia. Among them are 3 young men who recently came of age and a family that was persecuted because of their pro-Ukrainian position. It was also possible to evacuate a boy from the Zaporizhzhia region and a 77-year-old grandmother who could not leave the occupation on her own. And just to give you an idea of how sick Russia is, and Putin hates Santa. Russia's top informer demands Santa Claus be recognized as a foreign agent. The head of the Federal Project on Security and Combating Corruption, that's funny. You know, from the Russian Federation, he's in charge of security and combating corruption. He sent a request to the Prosecutor General's office of the Russian Federation demanding that Santa Claus be branded and recognized as a foreign agent. According to this asshat in Russia, Santa Claus is used by many foreign companies, including Father Christmas Ltd., which owns the Santa Claus, Father Christmas, and Cyber Santa trademarks. The informer believes that the value of the trademark is estimated at $1.6 trillion, and foreign companies finance the image of Santa Claus in Russia with the goal of destroying traditional Russian values. He also noted that Santa Claus is popular in countries unfriendly to the Russian Federation and replaces the image with the traditional Father Frost. So Putin has literally become the Grinch that stole Christmas. Of course, the last story was the image of the city that's no longer a city. That's all I have from Telegram for today. Oh God, not the Trumpy trout. Air alerts are remaining clear at the moment. I always like seeing air alerts. So I will go back to that other video. Yes. That's a bad one. That's funny. So we just covered the 20 billion. Every news paper reporter, whatever out there is jumping on that. And of course, they're covering the drone strikes on the IAEA vehicle. Going back to the prison boss that was killed a couple days ago, they're finally starting to cover it on BBC. Georgian protests, echoes of Ukraine's past revolutions. Going back into more stories about yesterday. Stalker 2, how a Ukrainian video game beat Russian disinformation and won fans. Stalker 2 has become a symbol of Ukrainian gaming success despite challenges and disinformation from a pro-Russian campaign. This is not us making video gaming an important part of the war. This is Russia attacking a video game because it was made in Ukraine. Literally, that's... Ukrainian video game is shattering records since its release on November 20th, despite many delays and it being a target of Russian disinformation operation. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is the latest edition of the game series that started in 2007. Developed by GSC Game World, a Ukrainian video game studio. Former GSC game developer Vladimir Yezdov, who worked on Stalker 2, was known by the nickname Fresh, was killed in combat near Bakhmut in December 2022 while serving in the Ukrainian military. How the invasion affected the development of it, but I'm trying to see... here we go. A propaganda operation using a fake wired video appeared to be part of a larger Russian strategy aimed at undermining Ukrainian popular sentiment regarding the war with Russia, while also disseminating misleading narratives about Ukraine. The 1-minute mobile-friendly video states, Ukrainian game Stalker 2 helps the government locate citizens suitable for mobilization. This is how Russians... Is this really how Russians think that a game is out to track people? I mean, just because you can hold the controller and play a shooter game doesn't mean you're going to be good on the front line, for one. They said the embedded program was discovered in the game's code that collects player data and transmits it to the developer's servers. Collects data about the device name, IP address, and current location of the player. The information is transmitted every second. Oh my lord, this is funny. The goal, these researchers, is to flood Telegram, social media, and journalists' inboxes with false stories that usually paint NATO countries and Ukraine in a bad light, waste reporters' time, and make people distrust news outlets more broadly. Yeah, there's not much more I can distrust news, but leave it to Al Jazeera to actually make an interesting story, tell you all the points of it, give you all the information you need, and then more. But yeah, it's hilarious. I love to read this article, Atlantic's vision of how Trump can win the peace in Ukraine, but it's behind a paywall. Sorry, I was reading this and combined it. Ukrainian war briefing. Don't let Patriot missile systems gather dust. Basically parroting what Zelensky said in his speech that we listened to. Ukraine needs 10 to 12 more Patriot systems to protect its skies completely. That's fact. I mean, that's what they need. Why can't we give it to them? We're not having missiles launched at our... Okay, what's going on there? Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by chat and yeah, that's pretty much all the new stories about Ukraine in the mass media, popular media, whatever the hell you want to call this. If this is, I hate reading this stuff sometimes, but sometimes they have good stories. More often than not, it's just parroting the same story over and over again. Just to prove a point. Let's go to Rudder's World. So let's go to the South Korean president being arrested. So simply take the first line, right click on it, and search Google. And Reuters, ABC, AP News, Al Jazeera, Le Monde France, another Korean newspaper, Yahoo News, NPR News, 5 Eyewitness News, Delta Optimist, and more and more. Just copy and paste the news. And how is that news? That's not reporting. That's Let's copy pasta. Anyways, that's my rant for today, I guess. Let's go back to that video.
Побратими зрозуміли, що я мертвий. Намагаюсь кричати, але я не можу крикнути, щоб мене хтось почув. Вже настільки больно було.
I haven't watched this myself. I should have before this.
Хоч застрелять, хоч вже мучитися не буду.
So in the year
А наша
2024.
задача була зайти на...
Oh, let me pause this and just make sure it's just not. Okay, it's just the guy talking in bed, with no subtitles. I'll try and get somebody to, if you guys know War Translated, I'll see if you'll do a translation of this video and put it out there for us. And we'll come back to this later, hopefully. For right now, instead of that, where's Discord? So I told you guys yesterday about Cars for Ukraine. Let me go to the air alert map. They've asked me to get involved with fundraising there. I wish I was able to help them. I haven't done fundraisers on this channel because, well, I know you guys are giving in so many other different areas. I didn't want to ask. So I'm going to be talking with them more and seeing if we could like piggyback or do something like that rather than trying to raise 10,000 ourselves, because I'm afraid that will just sit there. I know like the Shills have done a fundraiser for Cars for Ukraine. A lot of other stuff. Here's the YouTube channel. So what I wanted to show you was some of the stuff they do.
Хочемо висловити подяку Роману Гапачилу, команді Бандера Мобіль, Car for Ukraine та Warhol Defense за передану автівку під переобладнання РСЗО, яка буде нищити зараз підарасів. Все, дякую вам. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Сейчас снимай на видео. Давай, залпом.
So this would be called a technical vehicle, civilian vehicle converted. That's the second one. Here's the first one. So they delivered 2 vehicles like this for the Ukrainian military. So,
Посередине нажми. Да я нажимал. А ну, давай.
so I'm not comfortable doing a full truck by myself on this channel. I'll talk to him, see if we could group up with somebody with like a group of channels or something like that, and just contribute to an overall fundraiser. Motor is blown.
А ну, давай. Давай. Готов? Да.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So Viper's truck got went bad. Okay. Yeah, there's so many there's so many units needing stuff, and it's hard to keep up with them all. Keep us up to date, Blonde, and let us know what's going on. You know, and see what happens and see what can be done. Yeah, we saw that 2 days ago, Globy. If you go back through my Telegram feeds, there's a picture of it in there. Well, not that back that far, but it's somewhere in here. I just can't remember where. That's one reason why I like having this up, is the ease of just going back through and seeing day by day what stories have popped up. You know, like another thing that's being reported heavily right now is this: the Sweden and Denmark signing over 40 CV90s. That hit mainstream media today, and we reported, you know, I reported that to you guys. Where was it? On the 6th. So here it is 4 days later, and mainstream media is just now catching wind of it. 8th, I think it was on the 8th that they showed the attack. Should be here soon somewhere. Oh, maybe it was before that. I can't remember. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, definitely not today's news, but I'll look for it and find it. So, yeah, just keep us up to date, Blonde, and so we know what's going on. And you know, hopefully we can get other channels involved with that. trucks are not an easy thing to raise money for because they're such a high dollar amount. You know, we got what, 20 viewers in here right now. You know, trying to raise 10 grand for a truck would be asking a lot of the viewers. So, but like, you know, maybe tag teaming with Shills and Greg Terry and other YouTubers, it could be something that gets done. But I wouldn't want to put that kind of pressure on you guys. Or, well, myself, really, because it's not easy asking for money. It really isn't. When I tried to do the postcards from Ukraine, I got such backlash from that. It you know, like hurtful backlash from people on that. So I wish I could do it, something like that on my own, with you guys. It's just a scary thought. Well, Andrew, maybe we need to take a trip into Moscow, hotwire some trucks, and drive them down. I'm not saying what kind of experience I have with that side of the law, but yeah. Speaking on fundraising, I sent out a couple emails trying to get a hold of information on how to contact that couple taking care of the animals in Orhiv. I have not heard back yet. So just something to keep up on, and I'll keep you guys informed if how that goes. Yeah, I'm just worried that, like, you know, getting a Russian stamp on my passport might keep me out of Ukraine for a little while. Oh, that's funny. You know, I know you guys might be getting tired of the house searches, but this is what I do to wind myself down. I'm gonna say $5,000 for the upper limit, and let's start down here by Odessa. We haven't really looked down here by Odessa. Here we go, 5-bedroom house, not that far from an inlet to the Black Sea. Grapes growing along the front fence. More grapevines at the entrance. Nice little well set up in the front right there. A little garage in the back, shed type of thing. The kitchen. Oh, there you go, Blonde. It has indoor plumbing. Sink right there for you. So plumbing's already set up. Just but yeah, I just in my downtime between watching videos, reading stories, talking to people, I enjoy looking for houses. And it kind of fed into my project that I work on. Just randomly checking out different houses. I'm looking in a specific area right now because I'm working with the contractors and such that I trust, and I want to keep working with them. But nice brick house, nice with shutters and like a cool decorative frame around the windows. Nice trees in the front. I wonder if those are chestnut trees. The garden plot in the back. And old hand crank well with tulips. Oh, old TV. I'm not too sure with the pink wallpaper. Oh, nice wood burning stove. Most people don't realize this, but this is not only the cook stove, but this is the heater for the house. See if it shows it in another picture, but this is the stove. So it's up against these two walls, and the chimney is usually like in the center of the house. So the heat radiates out from this into the rest of the house. So it's not only where you cook, it's where you heat up your home. It's not a bad one for 2,500. A little far away from the ocean. Let's go back down towards Odessa. Here you go, on the outskirts of Odessa itself. Again, next to another inlet. A little overgrown. Okay, a lot overgrown. You could almost do a safari in this yard. But a lot of what is overgrown is grapevines. Nice little entrance to the root cellar. Clay tiles for the roof. Come on. So I'm guessing that's like the barn or the shed. You definitely have to get some goats to clear this up. Yeah, just tie up some goats or fence it off, run some goats in there. It'll be nice and clear for you to work with. Walls look good on it. Big old brick walls, because look how thick that windowsill is. Back to the beginning. So yeah, this is what I do for you don't need a bush hog, you just need goats. Goats will take care of that in like a day or two. Yeah, this is what I do for fun. I wouldn't say fun, but relax. I mean, it's always neat to sit here and look at, houses like this. I always thought these were interesting because this is like an attic, but as families get bigger and the kids grow up, this attic usually becomes like the teenager's loft. And we need some like flat screen TVs sent to Ukraine because everybody seems to have these old tubes and Cool little picture on the wall. Oh, I'm guessing that's supposed to be a picture of the view from the front. There's the entryway, big load of apples, so I'm guessing they have an apple tree. Little blurry, but that's the kitchen, the heat stove. Now it must be the entryway with a coat rack. Little hand crank well. Electrical input, so it's wired for electricity. Oh, it even has a security camera. There's the attic with the stove. So looks like a junk pile, but you can easily go through and finish off, insulate and finish off these walls and make this a livable area. Looks like somebody made a makeshift, oh, I forgot what you call them. The things you stand on while you work on the side of the house. Back to the beginning. That's not a bad one for 4,800. Trying to see if they talk about the trees on there, but nope. But again, right next to one of the inlets, just outside Odessa. You want to go the cheap route? Here you go. Right next to the inlet. $2,350 US. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of water damage, but that's easily fixable. Some kind of trailer turned into a shed in the back, it looks like. Nice little garden plot. Simple 4-room place. So the town is called Sputnik. I wonder if it was named after the satellite that the USSR sent into space. but it also means like little wanderer or something like that. Mickey Mouse. MICKEYMOUSE. Oh, that's definitely not Mickey Mouse. Never mind. But it's, I always find, like I said, if I find it interesting. Of course, the further you get away from the bigger cities, the more house you get for the money. Here's a house for $2,000. Or you tell it's a much bigger house, brick construction. Oh, they had a lot of pictures. Nice kitchen setup going in here. Like a bench seating at the table in the corner. Oh, a gas cook stove. And these are poles to set up like an awning. Hard to really tell. The pictures aren't that great, unfortunately. But there you go. There's a house for $2,000 in Ukraine. So a plot of land is 2,886 square meters. They say it needs repairs. Apparently it's rented out. Oh, so it's an auction for this property rather than just buying it straight out. So, interesting situation. Let's say you wanted to be up in the mountains. Oh, that's gorgeous. Two-story house with a veranda, tiny plot of land, but what a view. It looks like a little modular housing and a community thing they're doing. So yeah, this is some sort of resort where they're selling modular houses to hang out at. I consider these more of like a camping cottage rather than a home. Yeah. Yeah, not something I'd recommend getting involved with, but nah, sometimes you take the good with the bad. Here you go, $1,334. Looks like it's right in the middle of a town. Not a whole lot for pictures. I'm guessing this is an auction as well. Yeah, auction as well. Well, let's try this one. There you go. There's a nice little mountain village for you. What were you saying about Snow Blue? I really like the brick on this house. But man, that's a lot of wood stacked up for winter. I guess they really like being warm. Oh, that's a pretty house. Wait, what? Huh? Sorry. What's going on, McPigeon? Oh, congrats to hear on your 4.0. Yeah, 4.0 grade point average is not an easy thing to do. So congrats on that. Be proud of it. With that, we're approaching 10 o'clock. Still no air alerts. You know, almost 6 a.m. in Ukraine. I'm going to say have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. Thanks for coming to the stream. I appreciate you supporting the YouTube channel. I especially appreciate you supporting Ukraine. Have a good night and stay safe, everybody.
Чайка спит, літа